Welcome to today's episode, and I'm really excited to present to you today Guards Up by Versed. A couple of weeks ago, a viewer asked me if I had tried this, and I said no, I'm dying to, but the two Targets closest to me don't have it in stock, which is kind of common for the two Targets near me. The good stuff is never there. So I finally bit the bullet and I bought it from Versed online. There's only two places to buy this, at Target and at Versed. This is an SPF 35 mineral with zinc at 15%. It has a couple of antioxidants which they brag about, but they are at the very, very bottom, and honestly I've never seen these used as antioxidants before. I am not an encyclopedia, of course, but there are more common things to use. So they use sea fennel and moringa seed. They say that it's oil-free and has a natural finish, and it is cruelty-free and vegan. So that's about it, except for it's $22. So to me, I consider sunscreens from the drugstore around $11 to $15, $17, and things from Sephora pretty much start at $30 and go all the way to $65, which is crazy. And this lies in the middle. This lies in the very same place as the Michelle does. So it's not inexpensive, but it's not super expensive. This also has a small tint to it. So I'm going to shake this up a little bit because you would think coming in a container like this it would be a cream, but it's not exactly a cream. And I'm going to guesstimate a quarter teaspoon, which I think I can do all right. It is a little loosey-goosey and can get a little sloppy. And as you can see, it's moving. It's in between the more milky kind of sunscreens and the creamy sunscreens. Now, because, you guys, I've worn this 4 or 5 times, so spoiler alert, I love this. If that's all you need, go ahead and buy it and I'll see it for the next video. But if you want to see me put it on, it's about to happen. This is really quite viscous, so a little bit goes a long way, which can be, I think for a lot of people, it makes them think, oh, well, if it's on my face, it's doing its job. A little goes a long way. Doesn't mean you just apply a little. What it means to me is you just apply a little at a time. Because if I were to try to put all of this on my face at one time, I'd be blending forever. And a quarter teaspoon is what you should be wearing for face and neck. Now, interestingly, on their website, they say to disperse a coin-sized amount. Well, coins run the gamut. There's dimes, there's quarters, there's half dollars, and, flattened out or raised or whatever. I do like the idea that they're trying to give you an idea of how much to wear, but I like it better when they just say, do a quarter teaspoon. That way there's no interpretation. One thing I also like about this is they say, let it sink in for 2 to 3 minutes before you put on your foundation. Now, for a lot of my sunscreens, I wait quite a bit longer, sometimes because they're very moisturizing and I want that to sink in, and sometimes just because they're wet and I feel like if I don't let it sink in, when I put on my foundation, it will actually mix in with my foundation, and I want it to adhere to the skin. I would say I would wait a little bit more than 2 or 3 minutes, but not much, because this does kind of settle in really fast. I'm going to put some on my hands. Something else that I really like about this, I feel that it's leaving me the slightest bit of white cast, but that white cast, so far, all the times that I put it on before, is gone in a couple of minutes. And what it leaves is a little bit of radiance. So most of my sunscreens leave my face pretty shiny. And if you like, for instance, a matte foundation, usually you're going to have to powder it to get rid of the shine that leaves. This doesn't leave a shine. Once it settles in, and I think you can start to see it now, it leaves more of a radiance. Or there might be a better word for it that I just don't have in my brain right now because it's morning time. But what I'm trying to say is I think there's something pearlized in here, and it leaves a pearlized finish to your skin. It's very interesting. I once tried something, I think it's called Volition, which was a brand that was at Sephora. I'm not sure if it still is, and it could have been just at, my store. Maybe they were testing it out, I don't know. But their sunscreen had this in it, or something like that in it, but it looked like I was putting Hollywood Flawless whatever by Charlotte Tilbury all over my face. I looked like the Tin Man, and that was a product you can't just put on and walk out the door. You have to put foundation over it. This has the same thing, but to a much lesser degree. I feel that if you have very pale skin and you don't have a lot of redness, you don't have a lot to cover, you could probably put this on and leave the house without feeling self-conscious about a white cast, and it would leave your skin with this pearly finish that is really healthy looking, not strange looking, and it does provide a teeny bit of coverage. Now I'm looking in the mirror here, and the white is beginning to fade, but it's not faded yet, so I'm going to give this a few more minutes and I will come back. Alright, I am back. I just actually put a little under my eyes and on my eyes, just the teeniest bit. I don't like to put sunscreen up there because I am a little sensitive, especially to zinc. Now, about my sensitivities, I do feel a little bit of tingling going on. It's not really burning, it's a little bit of tingling. If you have normal skin, I think you'll love this. It's not moisturizing and it is oil-free, but it's not drying. If you're oily, I think you might like this. But if you're more like me, where you're normal to dry, you definitely are not going to be finding this to be moisturizing. You want to go ahead with your regular moisturizers. In other words, I have some sunscreens that I find really moisturizing, and if I'm in a hurry, I might skip my final moisturizer and just put that on and feel really well covered. With this, not the case. And depending on you, there might be days where you find it a teeny bit drying. And for that, I think if I added another moisturizer a few minutes before I put this on, I would be fine. Today's application is different than my other applications. I actually did all my skincare probably 40 minutes ago. And it's very hot and dry. Well, it's humid actually. I don't know what it is. But I felt before I put this on that my skin was a little drier than it normally is when I put this product on. So if you put it on just a few minutes after you put on your products, you might be okay. Today was just a different application, and I am feeling a little tightening, a little bit like it will be drying. Let's go ahead and put on some foundation. So this is the Reboot by Makeup Forever, and the color is in the information box. And when I use these together, there is no bunching, there's no pilling, there's no skin rolling off, or product rolling off your face. It's just works well together. Yesterday, I used this, I think it was yesterday, with the Fenty Hydrating, and there was no problem with that. So the things I tried this on with works together seamlessly. I'm just kind of working that through the hairline and the whole bit, and there you have it. They work together beautifully. I didn't have to do anything out of the ordinary to get this on, and I think it really looks quite pretty. I'm just going to wipe off my lips. Alright, lips are clean. Feels so much better. I just opened my door. I have a light in the corner here that I felt was making everything look a little too light. So I thought if I open the door, it would kind of balance it out and it would look a little more natural. This is what's going on the face, and there's a slight sheen right here. Now I will say that the Reboot does have a satin kind of finish, but to me this is a pearly sheen, not the satin sheen. But some of it is the satin sheen. I'm going to scoot up just a little bit so you can see what's going on here. I think it's a really pretty finish. It's just that sometimes it feels drying, and today is definitely one of those days. So even though you didn't have the benefit of watching me put this on 4 or 5 different times, what I just said holds true. It's best if your skin is dry to put this on soon after you put on your skincare, not right after. I like to let it absorb for a little while, but I waited 45 minutes, and that's just too long. I was starting with a dry palette, if you will. In fact, I was thinking maybe I should give myself a spray with some glycerin rose water before I put this on, and that probably would have helped. So there might be some negotiating with how you apply it and what you put under it, depending on what your skin type is. But of all the minerals I've tried, this one leaves a very nice finish, and it's not as drying as many of the others. It's not sticky, it's not goopy, it's not hugely white. It has a lovely finish. It's not too expensive. This is up there in my top 3 for mineral sunscreens, and that's saying a lot. The fact that I've worn it like 4 times also says a lot. I mean, I've shot at this video twice before. So that's 2 of my wearings, but I wore this on purpose 2 or 3 times because I do like it. I'm not going to be wearing it every day because SPF 35 is not what I'm looking for. But when it's really hot outside like this, I'm not outside, you know what I mean? I'm really uncomfortable and I'm staying inside. So for me, it works pretty well when it's super hot. And I suspect in the winter, when the days are shorter, then I'll probably feel a little more comfortable wearing it. But generally speaking, I prefer an SPF 50. But, you know, if you use something like this, as long as you're careful, and maybe you use the Supergoop powder to top it off upon application, or a couple of hours later, because a couple of hours later, the protection will be gone. And yeah, that's it. I hope this wasn't too long and all over the place, but I really do like this, and I have worn it on its own without having to film it, which should really say something. Even the things that I like the MyShell, I haven't really turned to that. But this one I have turned to. The blueberry one from Innisfree, I adore, and I've worn that several times. I'm almost done with the bottle, because that was just more moisturizing. But this is not bad at all. Worth looking into. And that's going to wrap it up for me. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me. I hope it was helpful to you, and I hope you come back again. Until we meet again, be safe and smart, and I'm wishing you good health.